Welcome to the Ronni Resonance Podcast, a space for women in transition, becoming, and rebirth. I'm Ronni, an intuitive guide, mentor, and multi-dimensional human learning right alongside you. Here we explore identity shifts, intuition, alignment, purpose, and the deeper truths you've been feeling but maybe haven't said out loud yet. This is where you return to yourself, gently, honestly, and with resonance. Take a breath. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ronni Resonance Podcast. You know what's funny? I have been told my whole life that I'm too much, too sensitive, too intense, but I've also been told that I'm too quiet, too shy, and too reserved. So which is it? And why does it feel so terrifying to just exist out loud? I just want to talk about something that I think a lot of us feel, but maybe don't have the language for. Why taking up space feels so vulnerable. And I don't mean like being loud, the center of attention. I just mean letting yourself be seen, letting your personality, your thoughts, your sensitivity, your presence be visible. For me, this goes all the way back to being 4 years old. And I was the firstborn for the first 4 years of my life. It was, just me and my little brother, and then my mom, remarried, and suddenly I went from, being the oldest to being one of 5. And not just one of 5, kind of like in the middle, like a middle child, kind of the youngest, which both of those roles that I ended up adapting, made me feel more invisible. And there was just this like unspoken message of like, make room, adjust, be flexible, just don't be a problem. And a lot of the time my older step siblings were used as an example so that, I didn't mess up or whatever. And I think that was like the first time that I learned that taking up space meant taking something away from somebody else. And I've always been comfortable with depth. I love deep conversations. I love deep soul talks. I love the one-on-one connection, but being visible is just, it's different for me. And to me, a lot of the times, visibility has felt like being perceived. Maybe depth feels like being understood, and those are not the same thing. And I think I've confused that in my life before. So I've been told that I'm too sensitive and I'm too emotional, I'm too intense my entire life. And I am an empath. I feel people, I feel energy, I literally feel everything. And that can be powerful, but it can also be very overwhelming, because when you're that sensitive, being seen feels like standing in front of the world without your like armor on. And I was always different from my siblings. I liked different things. I thought differently. I always felt everything a lot more deeply. And sometimes I got made fun of for that. And when you're a kid and you're made fun of for, just being yourself, you don't think, oh, this is just not my people. You start to think that like something's wrong with you, that like I should change. So you end up shrinking yourself. And this is, I think, the funniest part about this whole thing is that I was so quiet and shy growing up, but I also remember wanting to be the weather woman as a kid. And like I literally wanted to be on camera, holding a mic, reporting the news. And I think life honestly just happened to me after that. And from life, I ended up crawling really back into my shell. And so now I have a camera in my face again. And I'm not telling the weather, but I am telling the truth. If taking up space feels vulnerable, it's not because you're weak, it's because you learned that visibility wasn't safe. And now your nervous system is trying to protect you from being misunderstood, rejected, or judged. That is not insecurity, that is intelligence. I think real confidence is quiet. It's not this like performative, loud, defensive thing. I think it's more rooted and grounded. It's rooted in this confidence. And I think it's saying, you know, I'm here. I don't need permission. I don't need to explain myself. So, anyway, all that being said, I do have an extended podcast episode that will be released after this one in the Becoming Sanctuary. And we're really going to be talking about how to expand without overexposing yourself, because expansion really does, it doesn't mean that you're just bleeding online. I also want to ask you guys before I end this episode, what does rooted confidence look like in your life? Because like I mentioned in this episode, is that sometimes we think confidence is what society thinks it should look like, but I think confidence is different for everyone. And, you know, not everybody is meant to public speak or to have a microphone or, you know, to do whatever. So I do think that can change from person to person as to like what is going to make them feel confident. Is it understanding maybe a topic more than others, or being able to talk openly about that topic because you're knowledgeable? Or is it taking on a job? Or is it posting TikToks or videos or podcasts or whatever? So I think it's important to like start there when it comes to confidence. So anyway, if you really want to learn how to expand yourself without feeling like it is overexposing, I highly recommend that you watch the extended version of this episode, because we're going to go a lot deeper. I'm going to get a lot more personal. And I just think that it's something that a lot of people need to listen to, especially in the world of social media and comparison and all of that. Since we're talking this whole month about confidence and self-trust, I think this is one of the biggest topics that a lot of people struggle with. So I hope you go watch that episode, but thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.